Have you ever felt uncomfortable when someone that you're with is in a bad mood? Do you feel a little bit uncomfortable? Do you feel a little bit anxious and you want to make them okay? Because when you feel that they're okay, you feel okay. My name is Jilly and I am your host for this, the Inner Pickle podcast. I'm here for all the conversations about the emotional dilemmas that feel as though they keep us stuck, how to unstick them, and how to find a way forward. Now, if you have just gone, oh yeah, I've felt that, it could be that your natural sense of kindness, of compassion and empathy has been distorted with a sense of deep responsibility for that other person's emotional monitoring, for their emotional regulation. Now, the way that this looks is that when we have that pattern in us, we are always, I say always, not necessarily always, it can be confined to certain spaces. So it can be maybe just in your family. There's that, oh, is mom, is dad in a bad mood? Is my sister like this? And you're looking for those little nuances, those little movements of the face or countenance, whereby, oh no, I think they're okay. So is this extreme level of emotional wariness, of monitoring, of trying to read a room to see if it's okay. It can also look like emotionally shutting down people as well, just like bypassing it. It just feels too much. So sometimes if this pattern is there, it can feel like an absolute shutdown. And this is all happening because it doesn't feel safe if those people around you are not emotionally regulated. So the other things that can show up is that you don't express yourself. So it feels like if you say how you really feel about something, it might upset another person. So you just keep, so you just put up and zip it up. The other thing that can happen is that we jump to conclusions. So when we're relaxed and we see someone who is possibly in a bad mood, and we can stay in that relaxed space, we can judge what we need to do. So very often we jump to conclusions and make bad decisions. We can also just really jump in. Oh, are you okay? This monitoring of the situation. Are you okay? Oh, what's the matter? What's going on? So we kind of jump in to the pattern or the story, which often we've learnt when we're young. You'll get used to me saying that on these podcasts because so many of the patterns that we do take into adulthood do come from when we were younger. So what drives these patterns? What causes them? Well, somewhere along the line, you have learnt, if you said yes to those earlier patterns I described, you have learnt to feel safe when those around you are emotionally regulated. So this can come from early doors time with what we call a parentification. And all that means is that when you were young, you were given excessive responsibility. You were sort of made to feel like the adult, where the parent could kick off, get angry, upset, and you were able in some way to bring them down. So you can see, can't you, from very early doors, if this was going on and there was a lot of volatility in the house, which if you kept quiet or you were able to listen to the parent and had they trusted you, I say trusted you, enforced this weight of responsibility on a child, it very soon teaches that child that they need to be the adult. They need to be the one that's responsible. They need to be the one that's on the lookout in order to feel that create the emotional regulation in the other person so that they feel safe. Because when the other person, when their parent or a sibling is kicking off, they're in a bad mood, they feel really, really uncomfortable. So it's a little bit like our self-worth, our ability to feel regulated, our ability to feel relaxed and confident becomes very, very tied up in the emotional regulation of other people. So it's like, if they're okay, I'm okay. If they're not okay, I'm really not okay. So sometimes this happens as well with naturally sensitive people. If they get bullied at school or there's stuff going on, even if it's not really big, that natural sensitivity gets patterned in with how they can manage and control the room around them, the people around them. Now, the costs to this are absolutely huge, because if you're constantly monitoring other people's internal weather systems, their storminess, their anger, their hacked offness, their grumpiness, then it's almost like when you're monitoring their internal weather systems, you never get to put your own brolly down. You're always in that, what's going to come next. So it's always in this defensive position. And as you can imagine, that can lead to absolute exhaustion. Now, when I see these patterns in my clients, it very often is a pattern that spreads to other places. So it may start off in the home. It may start off at school. It may start off with a friendship group. Wherever it starts, particularly if it's the home and it's a real constant, this having to watch other people's moods in order to feel safe yourself, in order to have to feel as though you are responsible for noticing how other people feel and being able to manage that so they can feel better. That no child should have to feel that, but so many people do. That what happens, that comes with a level of absolute exhaustion. It can be really tiring. If it's just in the home, when people grow up, they might actually, be able to make really healthy relationships in other places. But when they go back into seeing mum and dad, or they go back to the caregivers or see their siblings, this whole charge of watching everybody else and feeling they have to be the one to make the phone calls to get people together, that they have to be the one to dive in to fix something. So they also become really, really strong fixers. So if the pattern doesn't go outside a particular group of people, they can lead pretty normal lives, except when that pattern inside them, that emotional connection to those people, gets triggered when they're in certain environments. Sometimes what can happen is that pattern spreads to all sorts of areas. So it can start off in the home, and then it might spread to friendship groups when you're older. You go to uni and you're suddenly the one who sorts everybody out. You're suddenly the person, the agony aunt that everybody talks to because they feel better when they do. It can be that you're the person within a relationship. You become the one that's the fixer. You become the one that doesn't express your own emotions. I'm fine. I'm okay. Yes, I'm all right. Because you're just worried that any level of self-expression might upset the balance of the friendship, might upset the relationship, and intimate relationships as well, of all sorts of relationships. but might upset the balance. So you keep quiet. Now, over time, if this is short term, which it very rarely is, it's not a problem. But when the denial of the self, when that self-abandonment and over-functioning to keep other people okay, over time that is so exhausting. Not just because I see it on the physical body, people get really tired, but I also see it energetically. It's almost like their soul, their being doesn't ever fully come to this life. So they may, because of the overfunctioning, have done really well in lots of spaces, but deep down inside there's an emptiness, there's a hollowness. And that goes for all, many levels of relationships, where because we're not expressing ourselves, because we don't feel, we always have to be on this high alert, there's this exhaustion and just an incredible lack of depth in the relationship, because we're not expressing ourselves fully because of this pattern of fixing. Now, when we begin to take responsibility for this, become aware of this pattern, oh golly, the changes that you can make are enormous. And one of the biggest, most powerful things that you can do for yourself, if you have recognized that you have a pattern similar to what I've been talking about, is, dun, 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 drum roll, is to let people be in a bad mood. Now, at the beginning, when you start to do this, it is going to feel super, super uncomfortable. But, no, not but, and if you can teach your body that it's not your job to fix someone else's bad mood, that you can trust that that person is here to take responsibility, even if they're not going to for that bad mood. That if they want your help, your support, your input, they will ask you, they will come to you. In the past, it might have looked like this. This bad mood going on with your mum or dad. And, is everything okay, Mum? Is everything all right? Well, and then the story comes in, and then you go into trying to make it all okay. Whereas when we step back, that bad mood suddenly might escalate a little bit, because they're used to you stepping into the drama. They're used to you behaving in a particular way. And when you withdraw that, when you don't get dysregulated, when you learn how to stay in a good space and look after yourself, and not try and go back to that old pattern, something really powerful happens, because your nervous system learns to be okay when someone else isn't okay. Now, I could spend another hour talking about the reasons why people feign a bad mood or I was just about to swear there. Get difficult. That's okay. It's not okay to get difficult, but that word's right. I'm giving you the inner runnings of my mind here. So when they start to go into a bit of silence or get really heated about something, when they learn over time that you are not going to respond to that, then the dynamic starts to change. And at first there might be an escalation in that moodiness to try and draw you in. It's like a child, like, "Ooh." And when you say, "It's all right, darling, like, we're not going to play with that today," or you have to put a little bit of boundaries down, it's wah! Or they're really kicking off and you remain calm and regulated around them. Eventually that regulation, and there's been so much science behind this, it starts to help to regulate the other person. It just by you being calm, by breathing in a way that signals to your nervous system that you're okay. Now, at the beginning, thoughts might be going around, oh gosh, what shall I do? But I could talk so much, here about reflective listening, about naming it, the conversations that you can have around this. But I want to give you today just the top thing that you can do, the top step, the top action you can take to help your system be okay when someone else isn't okay. Now, this pattern of fixing sometimes took a long time to get installed. And I'm not saying that the next time a person is difficult around you, or is in a mood around you, that you're going to feel okay. But practice doing it. That person in the office, and you go into a meeting and they're the one, oh, that was a bit too good a hacked off face, wasn't it? That wasn't. And you start to feel a bit uncomfortable, even though you're really prepared for that meeting. You might not have noticed that, you might not have said the words in your head that person is displaying a little bit of a hacked offness, a little bit of a mood going on here, and that's making me feel uncomfortable. But say it, name it in your head, recognize it, and say to yourself, it's safe for me just to be myself and not have to fix this. Take a really deep breath and continue to do the breath that I talk about so often, which is in and out evenly. Nobody need know you're doing it. So you just breathe in for about 4 and out for about the same. Again. And out. And you can do that, and very soon, if you can continue to do that, it will teach your body a new pattern. Now, at first, when you do it, you might last a minute or so, and then and you go back into the old pattern. It doesn't matter. You did really, really well. You did that minute or those few minutes. So it's taking the first steps, and then when you can do this more and more and more, if you find this really hard, if you find it almost impossible to recognize when you're going into this space and to maintain or to teach your body its emotional regulation, it might be that some emotional freedom technique or help from a really good coach or therapist will be that next step. But have a go at it yourself first of all, because the benefits of just learning that to your nervous system long term, to relationships deepening and being more meaningful, to be in a place where you can feel calm and confident to make decisions that are right for you. All of this process involves really understanding and knowing that we all have a responsibility for our own behaviour. And just because somewhere along the line you have been taught and made to feel, forced to feel responsible for the emotional regulation of others is old. It's an old pattern, and you can let that go. And it's almost like you have that duty to yourself to be whole and to be confident of being you in those situations. So I really hope that was useful for you, and I look forward to joining you on one of the other podcasts.